You know, I've announced on my Facebook that I was called up from POFMA office for an interview, right? And before all the people comes in, I'll talk about some funny things. So, we were experienced in 2022, January. So I went to POFMA office, no tea, no coffee. So I decided to bring my own coffee and tea. Okay, so uh, it's quite funny. I always use my vinegar bottles, right? And to contain my ginger tea. And I use a very small cup, right? Not intentional, nothing about it. But to think of it is looks quite funny, right? When I have a tea, pour in with a small sip, answering questions. Of course, the questions prepared by the Attorney General Chambers, I believe, right? All the questions are 死题, right? Every question is aiming at the trying to find out whether I have the intention to undermine the government. Okay, let me talk about this. Right, we first of all, we have to talk about this. What Lawrence Wong have spoken just a couple of weeks ago. Okay, aims for a society that allows space for U-turn, experimentation, and outliers. I consider myself as outliers. Okay, definitely, because I do not think as a normal Singaporean, right? Although we have an education, we train our people to think in certain ways, to a certain compliance. But right from young, I'm actually an outlier. I know myself, I'm an outlier because among my friends, my classmates, I think very differently, right from young. Right, even when I'm in primary schools, my teacher used to say to me, 你的城府很深. That means your thoughts are quite deep, okay, among my peers. Right, I do not think that simply. I always think in depth in a lot of things, right? So now, who are the outliers? Non-conformists definitely are the outliers, right? Those who need new turns, okay, are those who make mistakes. I don't think I make a lot of mistakes in my life, right? But I'm going to talk about this again in my next live chat, especially for those ex-convict, right? And how the legal system should change if Lawrence Wong really means what he wants to do. Okay, let's talk about us as outliers. These three ladies are the outliers, right? They are non-conformists. They have been charged. Okay, charged for what? For organizing a procession, or so-called, right? Walking from one, though I do not know whether Dobby got MRT or not, right? Walking to the Istana to hand over a letter of petition, right? To ask President Tharman, right? To actually do something about the Gaza issue, right? Now, if we recap, right? A group of Muslim brothers and sisters have actually applied for license, right, for assembly in Hong Lim Park, right, to talk about Gaza issue, to protest about the Israelis, right? Genocide in Gaza, so to speak. Okay? And they want to organize a rally there or a protest. But they were denied by the police for such gathering. In Hong Lim Park, Speaker's Corner. Right? Well, so they have no avenues to actually express themselves. Right? So they thought of organizing, petition. They prepared a petition. Right? I want to send a letter to the President Tharman. Right? So, but PAP or rather the AGC or the whole government try to play it down and say it's not about the Gaza issue or the petition about the Gaza that they are against. Okay, that's what they say. They are against these three ladies for organizing an illegal assembly and procession. Now, you can't be accused of organizing an illegal assembly or procession without a political cause. So I do not know why the Minister of Law and Home Affairs, Mr. Shanmugam, took issue with this, right? In their POFMA of SDP. Of course, SDP incorrectly says that, or really accused of Mr. Shanmugam of prosecuting them and all that. It was so-called AGC, law by law, prosecute the three ladies. Okay, but in the POFMA, I think everybody find it strange. They says, oh, these three ladies are charged for organizing illegal assembly and procession, not for protesting against Gaza. But the reason why they organize so-called organize such procession and assembly was because they want to send a protest letter to Tharman, President Tharman. Right? Without that political cause, they cannot be accused of illegal assembly because it would mean that any school students during anyone during the school holidays or anything organize a gathering and don't be God, no, just have a walk to Istana or Singapore, Plaza Singapore. Is it a illegal assembly or procession? No, there's no cause. So there must be a cause, a political cause, or a social cause, or whatever issues, a common cause for them to organize and to protest, right? So we are all gabla. What is it all about? Anyway, so and it says that it means that SDP was wrong. Okay, so they are being POFMA. I'm going to talk about POFMA later. Right? Let's see SDP's so-called response. Okay, SDP responded. Obviously, by the reading of SDP's this response, I think they are very angry. Okay, why? Well, it says that SDP rejects Mr. Shanmugam. I also reject MOH, making claims that whatever. I'm coming to that later. Right? This is more important. About our statement stated, okay, Article 14(1)(b) of Singapore Constitution unambiguously guarantees that all citizens of Singapore have the right to assemble peacefully and without arms, as long as there's no intention of riot or creating trouble. Okay, while Article 14(2)(a) allows Parliament to impose restriction on certain acts, it does not mean that the government can repeatedly and consistently prevent Singaporeans from exercising their right to peaceful assembly. That's why I was saying, even at Speaker's Corner, when a group of Muslim brothers and sisters want to organize a protest at Speaker's Corner, it was denied. Using, of course, the same usual reason, concern about public safety, order, and so on and so forth. So it's subject to interpretation. Right? Then he says, SDP says, Mr. Shanmugam points out that it has charged the 3 women under the Public Order Act. He is making a distinction without a difference. Right? For all we care, he can charge them under the Keep PAP in Power Forever Act, and he will make not a jot of difference. Right? Now, Constitution is a supreme set of rules that dictates how Singapore as a nation should exist. Right? It protects a certain rights as a citizens. So whatever laws, sub-laws, regulations they put up, it must not contradict the Constitution. Or else our Constitution is bopake already. That is exactly what SDP is trying to imply. Okay? The point of the media statement that the party issued, right, was the action taken against the 3 individuals was not in keeping with the spirit of Article 14 and given a peaceful and constructive nature. Of course, there are gazetted areas that you cannot protest and all that, but even ungazetted or designated place like Speaker's Corner, you also, police denied the license to speak and protest and hold a rally there. Right? The Constitution is the supreme law of the land. It's correct. That's what I say. And unless and until the PAP moves to abolish Article 14, Parliament should not prescribe people's freedom. It makes a mockery of Article 14. That is what I mean. Okay? That's why I stand by SDP's stance. No? Just like I show you Lawrence Wong thing, a promise. He says, Prime Minister Lawrence Wong told the people of Singapore that he aims for a society that allows space for U-turns, experimentation, and outliers. How does the government's current action make our society more tolerant of experimentation and outliers? Right? Right? Singaporeans, young and old, must view the present action with grave concern. Of course, Singaporeans don't really care. Huh? There's a reality on the ground. Okay? But this is, as politicians or activists, that is the right that we always defend. Nobody should take the rights of a citizen for granted. Because freedom is not free. Okay? Freedom is not free. You have to defend your rights. You have to defend as well as your nation under the Constitution. Right? The use of POFMA to silence its critic makes being a Singapore citizen even more meaningless. Actually, I'm saying that they are weaponizing POFMA. I'm going to explain about this later. What I think POFMA should be and should not be. Right? And it creates a climate of fear. Singaporeans do not really have a DNA to speak up, in the past. And although nowadays is better, but most Singaporeans are the silent majority. They do not have the DNA to speak up, even when their life is at stake. That is the so-called cultural DNA of Singaporeans. And this POFMA is going to silence everyone. When I was young, my parents, although disliked PAP very much, right, they always say, it means in Hainanese, it means don't anyhow say. Later, mata lia. Okay? That is the climate of fear. And POFMA actually created that. Whenever I want to do my live chat, whenever I want to post something, whenever I want to write something, right, there might be somebody nagging me, hey, don't anyhow write, then kena POFMA. Don't anyhow put up your statement, then kena POFMA. That is actually self-censorship. under the climate of fear. Right? Right? The simple act of Singaporeans peacefully delivering a letter to the President's office must be respected and protected. Right? Needless to say, POFMA stipulations compel us to post this absurd correction or notice. It's really absurd. I'm going to explain why it's absurd. We, however, take this opportunity to refute Mr. Shanmugam's ridiculous stance and repeat the SDP's unwavering commitment to fighting for the rights and freedom of fellow citizens. Okay? Within my circle, my activists, my members, right, we have different views about all this. But I told them, in basic principle, any politician worth his salt would defend the freedoms, right, and the rights of our citizens should have voiced up against such ridiculous, I would say, abuse of POFMA, weaponizing POFMA. Why I say it's weaponizing POFMA? You know, before the POFMA officers start to interview me, I actually smiled at them and said, no, the PAP is weaponizing POFMA. Even before SDP is being POFMA and protested against the POFMA. In fact, when Leong Mun Wai was POFMA, right, for making a little mistake over the resident that he have met, who given him the wrong impression of the situation, but he was POFMA. From then on, I say, they are weaponizing it. Why? He should not be POFMA. Why? Why I say this? Right? In the past, if anyone make a wrong expression, right, 无关痛痒, but the ministry feels that it needs to correct certain views, it just issue a statement to refute. That's all. So why do they need to do POFMA right now? I'll explain why. When POFMA was first put up, okay, it was said that it will be used, right, only about facts and truth, and not against opinion. That's number one. And he says that, or rather, I have the impression that POFMA was put up, right, not to defend the ministers, the ministries, not to defend the government for anything under the sun. It is only in the public interest or in the national interest, right, to refute falsehood that could actually affect national security or national interests or very serious implications on the nation. Right? So how would certain things like what we are seeing right now, okay, about SDP expressing its distaste of how our dear government is prosecuting activists as a threat to national security. 青菜是你讲嘛 POFMA. Anything wrong here, wrong there must POFMA. That is wrong. Right? Apparently, the ministers have very thin skin. In fact, ever since the POFMA have been enacted, What Long Zhong POFMA come out, right? Mr. Shanmugam have issued the most POFMA, I think. Right? That's according to the TOC, right? The online citizen actually do a compilation. 14 POFMA from Shanmugam, right? I thought I was a POFMA king, but I was not, right? I didn't receive the most POFMA, right? According to the tally of what the TOC have put up. So I don't have a crown here, okay? So, but look, if we are going to abuse POFMA in such a sense, because the concept of national security, national interest, right, is so wide, open to interpretation by the government or the ministers. Okay? How could we actually argue that a simple thing like Leong Mun Wai have done and misconstrued, misunderstood what the residents have given the info, right, is against national interest? You just correct him lah. Correct not? It's not as if what he's saying will actually destroy the whole country. Maybe affect PAP, but it's not the whole country. PAP is not the whole country. Right? In fact, when I have my own POFMA, I was quite puzzled. Okay? Most of my POFMA are about the vaccine. Everyone knows. The latest one is about the Iswaran case. Right? The Iswaran case. I'm not going to deal with it. Right? It's supposed to be under investigation. But basically, we just have to look at it. Does it affect national security? That is my definition. Or dangerous to the society. Four statement of facts which are dangerous to the society. And the minister can define danger. Everything can be danger. Right? Because they cultivate such a fearful climate. Such a very conservative climate. Right? Everything can be danger. Now, among those who are having this POFMA, like Ong Yi Kang, of course, is second ministers have issued the most POFMA. Then Wing Tong, Gam King Yong, and so on and so forth. Right? TOC, the online citizens have the most POFMA. Wow, about 13 of them. Right? Kenneth have more than about 7. SDP have 6. Lin Tian has 6. And I have 6. Right? And so on. But if you look at the issues, the minister at POFMA, is it life and death? Or maybe the vaccine things is life and death. But life and death definition is different. To me, it's life and death. Right? To me, it's really life and death. Right? Does it affect national security? Right? The red out issue. Is it national security? Is it dangerous to the society? Right? Leong Mun Wai, that one is social issues. Is it dangerous to the society? So, in PAP's definition, anything that undermines them, not necessarily the whole country, undermine them is POFMA-able. And that is why I say is being weaponized to protect themselves, protect the ministers from criticism, right? rightfully or wrongfully, you can just issue a statement. POFMA been overused and abused in that process. Right? We should be very clear. I'm not saying that we should not have POFMA. Right? I'm not saying that. But it must be very defined what it should be used for. Right? For example, you have made a falsehood that is regarding racial issue. That is dangerous to the society. And the POFMA with clarification correction should be issued. Okay? You have said something falsehood that can create riot, potential riot. That can be POFMA. Okay? But if we are talking about issues that we might not have full comprehensive information, because PAP is so stingy with their information. Sometimes we have to dig for data, for information. And we may or may not get it right. And suka-suka they come POFMA. And try to divert the attention from the real issues that will be raised. Like Leong Mun Wai. Right? The fundamental thing that I've seen from what he have raised is that this couple's so-called financial assistance was reduced, right, from previously. And that is actually what he tried to express, right? And that is a real issue. Their financial assistance has been reduced is a fact. It's just that not totally taken off. And that is mistaken. But it still remains, the fact still remains, their financial assistance have been reduced for any one reasons. Any reasons that was given. But is that a danger to society? It is not. Not at all. Okay? We should not allow PAP to abuse POFMA, and now they are talking about enhancing POFMA power, making it more draconian. Do you agree to that? I don't agree. Not that I've been POFMA so many times, because it doesn't make sense. Anyone that comes into power can abuse that power of POFMA. Just to keep everyone quiet. And that is not healthy for the country nor the democracy in Singapore. Right? In fact, most of the POFMA that I've seen is just a small, very small storm in a very small teacup. Right? I think subconsciously that was what I was thinking. Right? When I decided to bring a small little teacup to POFMA office and to have my tea down there. Right? Subconsciously. And to look back, somebody was saying, "Wow, you bring such a small teacup there. Are you trying to say that it's a storm in a small teacup?" I laugh. I say, "Wow, maybe subconsciously I think that is it." Right? They want to silence everyone. They want to frighten everyone, or even put us in jail or disqualify us from contest. I do not know. Whatever. Or the most effective thing they have been doing is to smear all of us for someone being called POFMA, always a falsehood. And that's politically motivated in that sense. When it has nothing to do with national security, it has nothing to do with danger to the society or to the country as a whole. We should not allow that. Right? It seems that all these highly paid ministers are so thin-skinned, or the civil servants. But when we get it right, they keep quiet. Okay? Why do I say that? I'll come to that later.